Girl, you the den, and she love me when I'm in it, and she never be pretending. Nothing is friend. She gon' tell you what she bought it, cause she know you can't afford it. No, you can get it.
Hello, welcome to the Eastbound with Camille. I am your host, Camille Cower, and I cannot wait for you to meet my guest today. He has had such an exciting career in front of the screen and behind the screen. My dear friend, Jake Mason, and I'm like totally getting tongue tied already because I'm so excited to talk to you about your fun, exciting career. So tell everyone how you got started in the world of entertainment. So you get started. Sorry. See?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's fine. It's a lot of random stuff to talk about, so I get it. I guess in entertainment wise, I was a choreographer and dance teacher for about 18, 19 years in Los Angeles. And I dance the kids around LA at some elementary schools. I had a dance studio for a while and did some stuff for TV. Kind of fell into it randomly. You'll kind of see that's basically my through line for all my career stuff is I was taking a hip hop class with a friend. I was waiting tables and we took a hip hop class at 24 Hour Fitness. She wanted to show off our dance that we learned to her friend who ran an after school program. They hired us to teach after school. I did not know what I was doing. I was basically taking a class on Monday nights and then teaching the routine Tuesdays. But I was a better teacher than a dancer at the time, and it blew up. My first class had about 8 or 9 kids in it, and then it blew up to like this very popular program. I was teaching 5 days a week. And one of my first students was Emma Roberts when she was in the 5th grade.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How exciting.
It was wild.
Yeah. So is that how you got started with working in TV and film? Is that what you mean by just happen chance?
Yeah, I was teaching at an elementary school here in Hollywood Hills, and I started getting offered jobs. I was turning them down because I was not qualified. And then my first project was with a one-woman show with an actress, E.G. Daily. She's Tommy Pickles from Rugrats and Powerpuff Girls, and she was in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and she did a one-woman show, and she's a good friend, and I was teaching her kids, and she said, like, I was like, I don't think I can do this. I don't know what I'm doing. She said, yes, you do. Let's go. So I jumped in there and then faked it till I made it, I guess. And and then things just kind of came as they went. So for a while until dodgeball took over my life. So,
well, that's so neat because so many times people they go to Hollywood and their whole idea is that they want to, I guess like they're the ones that are faking it. Yeah, I'm already a director or a producer or whatever. And for you to get that opportunity that somebody saw that magic in you first and just was able to start choreographing after that, like that's got to be a great feeling. I mean, I'm sure you felt that imposter syndrome, but how did you finally get over that and like believe that, okay, I'm just as qualified for this job?
As soon as I get over my imposter syndrome, I will let you know. No, I think you always kind of have that a little, but yeah, it was weird. That was my problem. I came here. I love performing, and I love being on stage, and whether it's a microphone in front of a whole bunch of people or just dancing around at a club or something, but I hated acting, the world of auditioning, and it just made me uncomfortable. And that's all in my head. It was ridiculous, and it set me back. And then auditioning even for dance, I was never good enough for dance stuff in my mind. But I remember I was working on a movie called 5. It was with a director I worked with a lot, Penelope Spheris. She did Wayne's World. And this was such a cool thing. It was on Lifetime. It was 5 female directors. So it was Jennifer Aniston, Penelope Spheris, Patty Jenkins, Alicia Keys, and Demi Moore.
Well, I can see why you would have imposter syndrome working with such A-list talent. I mean, I'm not worthy.
No, the best thing was like I got to go in and I was auditioning with Paula. I can't remember her name, but she was Tom Cruise's producing partner. I didn't know who she was, but she was huge.
Mm-hmm.
And it was I did a lot of weird stripper movies. Apparently, I did several movies and choreographed a lot of scenes with dancers, male and female. And this one, she just kind of looked at me and she was like, "How are you going to teach this beautiful woman how to move sexy?" And I jumped up and I pulled off my belt and I just like whipped it down and did this little thing. And she was laughing and we were all laughing. And I got hired, and I found out later that I actually beat out Michael Jackson's choreographer for the job. And I think it was just because I work really well with people.
Yeah.
And I work really well with kids and actors who can't dance. So I think the other choreographer, who was way better than me, came in with like a solid plan and this. And I came in and I said like, "Oh, we're going to work together and see how you move and how to make you look best on camera." And they love that. And that was the first time I felt like, oh, I'm a professional.
I would say, what a way to get qualified in. I don't think I would have imposter syndrome after working with such A-list talent. I mean, I can understand being in situations where you're like, okay, this is a new category for me or a new area, or, feeling more challenged, but never feeling like I don't deserve a seat at that table anymore.
It felt good. The pressure then shifted to other stuff. But yeah, there's always going to be that pressure.
So speaking of pressure and shifting, so your career kind of shifted into dodgeball. How did that go about when you have a career where I would say where you're kind of being more angelic in moves? Now you're like literally trying to avoid things coming at you.
You would think the dance skill would translate to dodgeball better.
But I guess in dance you're dodging, backstabbing. No, I'm kidding. It's not that.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's that hardcore in dance.
I never got in that world, so
okay.
I cheated my way in, like you said, or like I said. But yeah, no. So I am president of USA Dodgeball, and I founded WeHo Dodgeball, and it was again another random thing. We went to a game show audition for dodgeball after the movie. I heard about it, was like, oh, that could be fun. Threw the ball at a bunch of targets. I hit all the targets. I was doing so much better than everyone else, and they cut me because I didn't look like a weirdo hipster. And no offense to any weirdo hipsters. And
that's what they were asking for.
Yeah, they wanted a look and instead of the skill. Okay. And they ended up getting both. It was a great show. But then it was just on my radar, and then I found a group playing in the park. I wanted to do more. It was fun, and they were starting their very first season. By the end of the first game, I was making all my team uniforms, and by the end of the first season, I was running the league. And then with this group, I built leagues all around the country. And then I created WeHo Dodgeball, which was essentially kind of born out of Prop 8. I was running dodgeball, and the person who I was working with said, gays don't play sports. And I said, stuff I censored, beep, and I left, and I started my own league, and it's one of the largest in the world. So.
Wow. Well, that showed him or her. I don't know.
Him.
Yeah. Wow. First of all, I'm always so shocked at people sometimes that they can even formulate such hateful things to people's faces, but it's like, okay, whatever. Just, you proved him wrong. Maybe that was more fuel to just even have you go further with your dodgeball. I don't know, but what would you say were some of the challenges you had to overcome other than people's stupidity with that?
It's always people's stupidity.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, I don't know. I was driven, and I know people, and I knew that there was a drive for it. And when I'm excited about something, I can sell it. So I would be great real estate agent if I liked real estate. But I'm just not like, so I was just pumped. I would just talk about it with everyone I saw, and I can talk to anybody in a room, and whether they like it or not. And it just blew up and got big. And we also inadvertently kind of created a community since it was kind of right around the Prop 8 time. We were protesting a lot. I was involved in a lot of, social justice stuff around LGBTQ issues. And that bled into everything we did. So we started with a mission right off the bat, and just about being inclusive and being aware and cognizant of stuff. And I have such a great group of people with me, around me, my friends and my staff, and they're so much smarter than me. So everything we did was just like, I don't know, it just kind of happened and it was great. And we created this community. So now we have like a really strong presence here. We got involved in the city a lot, city politics and issues, and we get to do a lot. So it just kind of created something special. So
I love it because there was I don't remember who it was or what athlete it was, but they were like, just shut up and play ball. So you're proving two different things. Like, not only are you proving, yes, the LGBTQ plus community does play sports, but not only do we play sports, but we also get involved in our community and we get involved with politics, and we're a force to be reckoned with or without a ball in our hand. So speaking of your wonderful career that you've had with dodgeball, but it also has had some collisions with entertainment as well. Can you share a little bit about how that's come about?
Yeah. So basically, being in LA, it kind of happens. We have a lot of people in dodgeball who are in the industry, and we've gotten to do a lot of fun stuff via my own connections. And we're a fun segment for reality shows. A reality show producer is going to be like, oh, let's do a dodgeball segment. So we've been on like every reality show at some point, which is fun.
Wait, are they rigged, or do you let them win?
It depends.
Oh.
I don't want to like pull back the curtain. Some of them want authenticity, and some of them have a storyline to
sometimes I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure I've seen some with the really long nails. I'm always like, how in the world can they play sports with long nails? But they can do anything with those long nails, so maybe so.
Yeah, I've had to be like, you don't, watch out, please. And I had one woman just freak out when her nail broke, and I was like, I told you this was going to happen. So
yeah. Nailed it. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah.
But yeah, so through that, and then we had the biggest and bestest one that I'm so proud of was we got to play dodgeball on the Late Late Show with Michelle Obama, and
our forever first lady.
Oh, it was amazing! Like it was the highlight, literally the highlight of my life. We had done a segment with the Late Late Show with One Direction a few years before, and it was an all-female team versus One Direction, and I was refereeing. And the producers called me a couple years later, like, we want to do another show, and but we can't tell you who's the guests are. And I was just like, oh my gosh! And Endgame was coming out, so I was like, is it the Avengers? And I was freaking out. And then it was wilder than I could imagine, because first off, it was all A-list celebrities, and to see my name, it was like Melissa McCarthy and Benedict Cumberbatch and Jake Mason and Harry Styles, and I was just like, I'm on the same list. I was the only non-A-list celebrity there, and then Michelle Obama shows up, and it was just she's just everything you can imagine. It was so cool. So they cut all my stuff, which I get, because they had really funny stuff they cut, and I'm also not them. But I did get to stand behind and teach them all how to play dodgeball, and I got to talk and hang out with all of them. Lena Waithe was there. She was so awesome. She was like, why are you standing by yourself? Come over with us. I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. And I think it was good because
the cool kids. Yeah.
Everyone was fangirling out over Michelle Obama. So it's like, I'm, by like Allison Janney, and her and I are both like, oh my gosh, so it was a good way to bond.
Right. And she was like, she played in the White House for back in the day. So that's even like double interesting in that sense too, where it's a full circle moment for her to actually get to meet someone from the White House. But for you, just being amongst all of them, I'm sure you were just like, when they were just coming through the door one after the other, like, who's going to be next? And it just got more and more popular, or was it all at one time they came in? And so it was just like, I don't even know how to act right now.
They told me about Michelle Obama when I got there.
Okay.
And because they were like, okay, calm down, you know. And then I had actually was given my paperwork, and they accidentally gave me the whole cast sign-in sheet. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I was running to the restroom to take a secret picture of it. And then on my way to the bathroom, they were like, oh, no, we need that back. And I was like, no. But
so I'm not the only one. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. I mean,
like,
I was
screenshot. No, I'm kidding.
No, yeah. And
Yeah.
they knew it. They were like,
it's Michelle Obama. Yeah, right. Well, I mean, speaking of, just recently, I mean, by the time this airs, it'll be kind of old news, but maybe not. With Erykah Badu at the birthday party of Obama, where she was like caught videotaping at the birthday party and so on. So it's like, maybe it's not worth it to take, be more in the moment and not take the pictures when you're finally given the opportunity to hang out with number 44 or his wife.
Yeah, it was more for me to maybe share a couple years down the line. I want to work on the Late Late Show again, so I was not going to take
that part.
And my friends were texting, going, "So who is it?" And my boyfriend was texting and asking, and I was like, "I can't tell you." And then because I was like, they're monitoring my phone. It's Secret Service is here, So.
Yeah, it's a little bit different than maybe being on a reality show where they just take your phone for a few hours and you get it back at the end of the day. Yeah. And you might spoil a punchline, but when it's like security of our nation involved, you might want to be like, you know what, I'll save it.
I'm not taking any chances. Again, I had a great time working with them, and I want to work on that show again, so I'm not going to take any chances.
I get that, especially since you still live in LA. I have the joy of living in North Carolina, so I can do whatever. No, I'm kidding. I still wouldn't do it. Because we've done, like, I'm very involved here locally in the political stuff here, and gotten the opportunity to meet with a few politicians, and like you have to do all this different testing sometimes beforehand, and you have to sign a lot of things, and you can't disclose a lot of things. So yeah, I don't want to see inside of a federal prison, so I'm going to follow all the rules and laws and NDAs that I'm given. Can't really afford to break them. So moving on, let's talk about things you can talk about safely. What has been like you told about your highlights, but what have been some of the different things that you've done that you just can't believe that dodgeball has brought you there? Because I'm sure there's so many different people who are like, I want to major in PE. I know as a kid, I was really good at soccer, but dodgeball was one of those things where I was like, please don't pick me last, because it was like a popularity thing more so than skill thing. I guess a lot like the audition you went to. But so has there been any other incidences that you're just like, wow, this is my life, other than obviously Michelle Obama, but other things that you can give some inspiration for those who may be thinking that what their dreams to be maybe other people are like, oh, you can't do that for a living, and you can prove, oh no, there's a way.
I think that's been my favorite thing. You just nailed it. Just you can do anything for a living. And when I moved to LA, I remember everyone, when I said I was going to move to LA, all these people I'm from Sacramento originally, school counselors and other people, oh, what are you going to go be a big star? You're not going to make it. Blah, 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 blah. And I remember I just kept telling people, I'm like, I don't need to be like Tom Cruise famous. Like I'm dating
There's
myself,
no
but
small
like
parts. Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to go. I can work at Starbucks in LA, just like I can work at Starbucks in Sacramento. And it was always weird because my dad is very like business 80s from Nevada, like, and Republican. And so he was always like, I was like, here's my friend, and they're writing a screenplay for, so-and-so. And this is my other friend. He's working at Sony right now. And he's like, oh, your friends are losers. They need real jobs. I'm like, well, my friend now is senior vice president of Sony, and forget it. And we all worked our way up, and this is exciting and cool. So I think I always kind of encourage anyone to, I'm struggling with like monetizing your hobbies and what you love, because there's a lot that comes with that. Because of capitalism. No, but
the man will always try to tax you. No, I'm kidding.
No, it's just because then it can kind of ruin some of that stuff. But at the same time, like,
that's true.
I taught dance and played dodgeball for a living for, I mean, the last 19 years, 18, 19 years. So you can kind of do whatever. If people like it and you're doing it well and but don't focus on the money part, because that doesn't help. Because
I get that. Like it is you have to be careful.
Always a balance. But one thing the pandemic has really shown us, we'd kind of gotten back to our roots right before the pandemic, whereas when I was doing dance more, sorry, my camera's like, I'm moving my hand as I talk.
No.
There we go.
Okay.
There. Sorry, everybody. But as we were kind of going on, I was focusing more on dodgeball, less on other stuff. So obviously, like, income was an issue, and I realized that, especially after this, that our community is more important, and the money isn't. If you're focused on the money, you're not gonna have. You're gonna be miserable, especially when it's something you like dodgeball or dance. And yes, it's a part of it, but the community is more important. I'd rather have like 8 teams of really cool, solid people in a really strong community now than 12 teams of a bunch of people that I don't want to talk about. So
yeah, just be winning and making money. No, I get it.
Yeah, and no, so that's always the danger when you try to take something you love and then also use it as a living. I love that you're doing this. I think all the time, oh, I want to do a podcast, and I go, what would I talk about? So
I mean, like mine just started off just interviewing people that worked in the entertainment industry, and just for me, I wanted to learn about the different areas I didn't know that well, like producing and publicity, marketing, all the things that on set you can't really be like, so what are you doing, or even finding out, well, what career do you do when you're not acting or so on, that you're able to afford to do all of this, because it's an expensive habit to have when it comes to like doing all your headshots and classes. And if you're not a consistent actor that can afford it, like, what are you doing in between times? Like, I just was curious a lot, and also like how people got to where they were, because there's a lot of no's, and there's a lot of times that people are going through a lot of different challenges, and just hearing how sometimes their career started one way and it just happened to shift, much like yourself, in a different direction, and they found their love. Like, I find it so inspiring, and I wanted that. Like, I just got, like, it just kind of snowballed, to take your word for it. And just now I'm like, okay, I've interviewed a lot of people in the entertainment industry. Now let me just check out other industries too that have like some entertainment collision. So it's not too far away from the E spot. But this season, I mentioned I was interviewing a lot of different designers. Like, some of them have been on HGTV, so that's kind of the entertainment focus, but it's also in the design community, there's been this area where there hasn't been a lot of inclusion with BIPOC community. So their whole project that they're working on it's all designers that are BIPOC.
Nice.
And so it's just that inclusion factor too. I was like, that's a great thing, because I was talking about a lot of race and political stuff just because of what was going on during the pandemic. And it just ended up where I felt like, well, what can I do that offers some good back in the community, but it's not the entire conversation and constantly, because it can get exhausting when you're like kind of defending your humanity to people, or even having to explain certain things. You're like, I don't want to explain this anymore. I just want to include it, like, just, this is the community I'm speaking to, and they're explaining what their journey has been about, so like having you on, it was the same idea, like, oh, you know what? He's doing all this inclusive stuff, and he's working in the LGBTQ community. Let me have him on, have him explain what his journey has been like. So so people could see themselves. Like, that's been my focus now. It's like, I didn't see myself a lot, so let me help with that. So you might find that same, where this is a voice missing or a story missing.
This is why we became friends, like literally instantly, in some hotel lobby in South Carolina, because
immediately,
by the way, everybody, just boom, and now we're friends. And yeah, because exactly. First off, if you have any kind of platform, I think you're absolutely obligated to use it to the best of your things. And that's what I was struggling with during the pandemic. We were shut down for dodgeball, but I still had this community and I still had a voice. So we worked on politics here. We worked on city council stuff I can, I'm always trying to share stuff. But then you're right. It becomes a lot. It becomes when I was at a sports conference in Myrtle Beach representing USA Dodgeball, I couldn't stop myself literally from talking about social justice stuff. People would come up and be like, "Oh, so what's USA Dodgeball's tournament schedule like?" And I was like, "Who cares? What are you doing for to increase diversity in the workplace? You know, and what are you doing about these trans bills? And what are you doing about this?" So I want to be able to use the platform to influence stuff. Luckily, as a national governing body, like I cannot bring tournaments to certain destinations that have anti-LGBTQ laws.
Mm-hmm.
And we're kind of working with other groups, other national governing bodies of the sport right now to create a joint statement on like the trans women in sports bills, voter oppression. Like there's a lot of ways we can influence things. I mean, right now we're requiring, oh, sorry, go on.
No, go ahead. I mean, I'm glad you're saying this because I'm like, oh, the Olympics. Yeah. That's all that was going up. Like it brought, I think, so much light to like, you know, I feel like I'm on top of the news to some extent. It's kind of my job to make sure I'm kind of aware of hot topics going on in case somebody brings something up. I kind of know what they're talking about. But at the same time, I didn't realize to the extent that some of these testing and like people born women, but if they have a certain testosterone level might not, you know, like there's so much to it. So I'm glad that you brought that up. And this is something that you can speak about because share more. I mean, great opportunity to talk more about it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a hot button issue right now. I'm actually on a DEI committee for a national sports tourism organization, and we're trying to figure out what our education session is going to be focused on. And it's either the trans women in sports issues or something we've realized during the Olympics is disabilities, which is something that people don't really kind of think about when they think of DEI. But disabilities is something that crosses all, you know, races, genders, sexuality, all that stuff. So and I like to focus the conversation on intersectionality too, as much as like how let's just be real. Like right now, I feel like a lot of white gay men are like, I'm so diverse. I'm like, no, you're just a white gay man, and there's plenty of us. And we need to shut up a little. And yes, we have our struggles, but no, they're not the same necessarily. And we need to be more inclusive in our own community. So, yeah.
So you're saying passing the mic opportunities or making sure that when you're at the table, that there's room for others is really important too. Yeah. Because I mean, I do think, like, I don't think that, I don't know, like there's a fine line with people shutting up, but because there was something just even yesterday was going around about a certain social media page was just recently discovered it was a white woman that's behind it, but she's kind of speaking for social justice issues, and she was doing it in a way where it appeared she was Black. And so there's like that fine line, but at the same time, it's like the more people speaking out, the better. At the same time, here's like, as long as people are speaking out against it in the right way, I'm happy, because it's just bringing that because it's tiring for it to always be on our backs or somebody that suffers with disability. Like we don't always want to have to defend it. Like if somebody else could just take that burden off, great, I'm all for it. But at the same time, centering and monetizing, that's where it gets to that iffy part. Like, wait, are you giving it back? Or are you helping others? You know, that's the part where I'm like, oh, okay, that feels a little gross. But again, I get what you're saying, because you're you're actually doing the work and working in that industry. So you know firsthand.
Well, I'm like I mentioned earlier, my immediate crew of friends, and we all work together with WeHo Dodgeball. They're just the best. And as much as I love attention, they're really good at checking me when it appears or starts to even like become like I might be centering myself in the conversation. There's definitely times where I'm like seeing people at like a rally or a protest, and they've got a megaphone and they can't speak on it, and it drives me crazy. And I want to get up and take that megaphone. And you know, I know not to.
So no Kanye West moments from you.
But just in case, also, I've got my like close friends here going, Jake, don't. Jake, no. Jake, not right now. It's not your time right now.
Let her have her Taylor Swift moment.
And at the same time, I was at, there was a women in sports conference or panel I was at, and it was wildly just, we don't have enough time to talk about how wrong the speaker was. And nobody was saying anything. And I was just looked around, and finally, like, my two friends on my side, they just go, okay, go for it. So I'm like, at this point, I feel like to anyone else, I can be an ally. Just like use me as a weapon, point and shoot me where you want me, and put me there, because I do have a loud voice, and I try to use it when I can.
And like you said earlier, you're like a real estate agent in that sense. You can sell anything. So good to know.
We'll see. We'll see if I can sell justice.
Whatever works. Maybe monetizing it, they'll be interested. Just kidding. So what's going on in the future for you? Where can we keep up with you, and what do you have coming up?
I mean, we're just kind of figuring out what's next for dodgeball. We the Delta variant is real, and as we just got started back up here 4 hours before our first game, we got shut down. So yeah, it's really hard to find any indoor venues. We're being really safe. Dodgeball's kind of a super spreader in a weird way. It's probably not a good. Yeah, it's probably not good for the brand for me to say that, but when one person gets sick, we all get sick. We're very close, and a lot of events and tournaments we're hanging out, so we have to be extra cognizant of all that. So we're not doing any events this year. We were going to do a couple in the fall, but now it's looking like that's not going to happen.
Safety first, like whether brand or not, like you need humans to play. So if you don't have any humans, then
the last thing I want is like a headline that says like, outbreak, super spreader event, dodgeball. But we partnered with some other national governing bodies. We actually got an invite from USA Racquetball to partner with former President Obama, and the Made to Save campaign. So we're joining a lot of other NGBs, requiring all our participants to get vaccinated, to just kind of do that extra push and make sure everything's safe and we can return safely to sports.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, so that's exciting. I mean, again, it's using the platform as much as we can, even though we haven't played since 2 days before everything shut down in 2020.
Well, I mean, I guess you can't really play that virtually.
No.
Yeah, no. I'm like thinking back to the game even where they were like throwing wrenches. Yeah, probably not a good idea.
Yeah, we did get to do, again, entertainment crossover. We got to do a cool thing for the Bleacher Report and all these House of Highlights. So all these influencers playing a dodgeball game, and I got to go, and of course testing and all the stuff you have to do.
All right, so tell everyone where they can keep up with you and how they can, or whatever you have coming up on the horizons as well.
So not much coming up on the horizons right now, but just keep up with us at where I'm at The Real Jake Mason, at WeHo Dodgeball, at USA Dodgeball on all platforms. So yeah, if you're interested in playing, follow our social media stuff and check it out. Once we get going, we'll put out information on how to play. If you're in LA, WeHo Dodgeball, once again, things are safer, and we have an outdoor venue. Follow us. And if you just want to say hi, I'm also available.
Great. Thank you so much, Jake. This has been so much fun. I really appreciate you being my guest today.
Thank you. You are, again, so glad I just randomly met you in a hotel lobby and we become friends, and this is an honor, because I've been following and looking at all your stuff, and I think it was kismet in a way. So
me too. Like, I mean, I don't go around picking up men at hotel bars. Just going ahead to put that out there.
I do though. So
I'm very married, I might add. So thanks for being my guest. This was so much fun.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye, everyone.